Hi guys, welcome back. In this lesson we're going to look at rootless voicings. So I was just improvising over the chord changes to the jazz ballad Blue in Green, and I was using rootless voicings in my left hand. Rootless voicings are also known as left-hand voicings or Bill Evans voicings, so be aware that these three terms refer to the same thing. In this lesson we're going to cover what a voicing is, what makes it rootless, and why we use rootless voicings. We're then going to build major, minor, and dominant rootless voicings and review the best way to practice them so that you can become comfortable playing these voicings on demand in all 12 keys. So first of all, what's a voicing and what makes it rootless? Well, a voicing is the way that we choose to spread out or arrange the notes of a chord on the keyboard. So here's a C minor 7 chord. And we learnt in the lesson on extensions that we can extend the chord past the octave to play the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th. So to turn this into a rootless voicing, we'd leave out the root of the chord and we'd play one of the extensions instead. So for example, we could play 3, 5, 7, and 9. So why do we use rootless voicings? Well, rootless voicings, they achieve very smooth voice leading in a 2-5-1 progression. And this has two benefits. The first is that the chord will flow from one to the next very smoothly, which sounds great to the listener. And the second is that it reduces hand movement between chords, so that you can move from one to the next quickly and easily, and you can focus your attention on soloing in your right hand. So rootless voicings, they free up a finger for a more colourful note choice, such as 9ths, 11ths or 13ths, and this makes your playing sound much more interesting and professional. And finally, you'll stay out the bass player's way when you're using rootless voicings. So if you're ever playing in a jazz band, the bass player will have the root of the chord covered, so there's no need for you to play it. Right, so let's build some rootless voicings. Let's start off with major chords. So on the left we have a C major 7 chord in root position, and to turn this into a rootless voicing we add the 9th and then we drop the root. So you might look at this and think, wait a minute, that's an E minor 7 chord. And you're right, it is an E minor 7 chord, but it can also function as a rootless voicing for C major 7. And the reason is because it contains the 3rd and the 7th of C major 7, which are the two most important tones for C major 7. So the 9 then adds some extra colour to the chord. So there's two ways that you can find rootless voicings for major chords. The first is to build the major 7, add the 9, and drop the root. And the second is to build a minor 7th chord off the major 3rd. So if we have C, we go to the major 3rd, and we build a minor 7th chord. Okay, so let's look at this in a few different keys. Here's an F major 7 chord in root position. Now to turn this into a rootless voicing, we add the 9, and we drop the root. So alternatively, we can find the major 3rd, which was A, and then we can build a minor 7th chord, and that gives us 3, 5, 7, and 9 of F major. Let's look at another example. Here's a D major 7 chord. So to turn this into a rootless voicing, we add the 9th, which is E, and then we drop the roots. So you could also look at this as an F sharp minor 7 chord. So we go to the 3rd, which is F sharp, and build a minor 7th chord. So now let's do the same with some minor chords. So we build minor rootless voicings in the exact same way that we built major ones. So for C minor, we'd start off with a C minor 7 chord, we'd add the 9, and we'd drop the roots. So remember that major and minor chords share the same 9th. So if we examine this rootless voicing for C minor 7, we can see that it's actually an E flat major 7 chord. So another way to find the rootless voicing for minor chords is to go to the minor third and build a major 7th chord. So in the key of F minor, we have, here's a root position F minor 7 chord. We can add the 9, which is G, and then drop the root. And then we have an F minor rootless voicing. Alternatively, you go to the minor third and then build a major 7 chord. So in this case, it's an A flat major 7. Finally, in the key of D, we build a root position D minor 7 chord, add the 9, which is E, and drop the root. So another way you can look at that is to go to the minor third, which is F, and build a major 7th. Right, so the next thing we need to look at is inverting rootless voicings. So there's two very important inversions that you need to know. These inversions are type A and type B. We've already covered type A rootless voicings in the last examples. The formula for constructing type A rootless voicings is 3, 5, 7 and 9. So for example, with a C major rootless voicing, we play the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th and the 9th. So type A rootless voicings always have the 3rd on the bottom. The formula for type B rootless voicings is 7, 9, 3 and 5. So type B rootless voicings always have the 7th on the bottom. And a really quick and easy way to get from type A to type B is to take these bottom 2 notes and put them on top. So let's run through the chords we've already looked at and turn them from type A to type B. So we've just done C major 7. Let's do the same with F major 7. So there's an F major 9 or F major 7. It's got the 9th in, so we can call it a 9th voicing. That's type A, F major rootless. To turn it into type B, we can take the top 2 notes and put them up here. Or alternatively, we could take these 2 notes and put them down here. For D major 7, there's type A. To get to type B, take the bottom 2 notes and put them on top. Okay, on to minor chords. There's a C minor 7, rootless, it's got the 9 in there as well. To turn that into a type B, we take these bottom 2 notes and put them on top. Okay, for F minor 7, there's the rootless voicing in type A. To turn it into a type B, take those 2 notes and put them up here. Finally, with D minor, there's the rootless voicing, and to turn it into a type B rootless voicing, bottom 2 notes and put them on top. Okay, so you might ask at this point, why do we invert rootless voicings? And the answer is to be in the correct register of the piano. So rootless voicings, they sound best when they're played right in the center of the piano, so around this area. But you do have around sort of this much of the piano to work with. So if you play the rootless voicings below here, they start to sound a bit muddy and a bit distorted. And if you play them above here, they start to sound a bit thin. But if you play them right in the center of the piano, they sound really good. So now let's take a look at dominant rootless voicings. So rootless dominant 7th voicings, they're a bit trickier than their major and minor counterparts. We could voice them in the same way as we have done with the major and minor rootless voicings. However, this would not voice lead very smoothly in a major 2-5-1 progression. So instead, we substitute the 5th for the 13th in all dominant 7th rootless voicings. So here's the type A and the type B rootless voicing for C7. On the left we have type A, and on the right we have type B. So the formula for type A is 3, 13, flat 7, and 9. So we've swapped the 5th for the 13th. You basically just move it up a whole step. And then type B, we have flat 7, 9, 3, and 13. Again, we've just taken the 5th and we've moved it up a whole step. So when we substitute the 13th in the place of the 5th, you get that bit of dissonance between the 13th and the flat 7th. So the dominant 7th chord is already a dissonant chord anyway, because it has a tritone interval in there. And so this half step interval, it adds a bit more dissonance, which sounds great. Okay, so let's look at this in a couple of different keys. For F7, we have type A, which is 3, 13, flat 7, and 9. For type B, we'd have flat 7, 9, 3, and 13. Finally, for D7, we'd have type A would be 3, 13, flat 7, and 9. And type B would be flat 7, 9, 3, and 13. So as I mentioned, these voicings for dominant chords, they voice lead very smoothly. So for example, a 2-5-1 in F major, we'd have a G minor, type B rootless voicing. And then if we drop the bottom note down, we get to C7 rootless. And then we can drop down to a type B rootless voicing for F major. So you can see how smoothly these chords lead from one to the next. So for more information on that, go and watch the lesson on the rootless 2-5-1 progression. So the best way to practice rootless voicings is in your left hand. So you're going to be using these voicings in your left hand to support your right hand soloing and improvisation. So you need to make sure that you're comfortable with them in all 12 keys. So the best way to do this is to work your way around the circle of fourths for each of the chord types. So start off with major type A. So remember, type A is 3, 5, 7, and 9. So start in C and work your way around the circle. So we have C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and back to C. And then you want to do the same, but for type B major. So we've got C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and back to C. Then you want to repeat that exact same exercise for the minor type A and minor type B. And something to remember here is if you're not sure whether you have the right voicing, you can always play the rootless voicing and lean over and play the root note with your right hand. So you'll know if you've played the right note or not. So for example, you can hear that sounds really wrong. But if you lean over, then you can work out if the notes you're playing in your left hand are correct. So once you've done it in major and minor, I'd recommend moving on to dominant voicings. So these ones will be a bit trickier because you've probably not come across that shape before. So I'd recommend starting off just doing them in your right hand. So start off with type A and play the root in your left. So C7, F7, B flat 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, and so on. Take that all the way around the circle and keep doing that until you're comfortable with the shape, and then move them over into your left hand. So then you can play just with your left, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, and remember you can play the root if you are unsure. So if you head over to the Piano Groove resources section, you'll find a document that contains major, minor, and dominant voicings for both type A and type B in all 12 keys. So you can use that as a point of reference if you're unsure about any of these. But I would say it is important to learn these from memory, and so that you don't have to read music to find the right notes. So if you have any questions, just drop it in the comment box below.